thanks to new evidence of Noah's Ark. Researchers say they have 3D images of what they believe is the Ark in the Ararat Mountains in Turkey.
High in Turkey's rugged mountains, archaeologists uncovered an unusual, ship-shaped geological formation that quickly captured worldwide attention. Beneath the hardened surface, excavations revealed striking structural features that raised fresh questions while echoing ancient legends. Could this site be connected to the biblical story of Noah's Ark? For now, the evidence remains uncertain, yet the findings have deeply intrigued both scientists and historians. As the clues are examined more closely, this remote region of Turkey emerges as a possible crossroads of myth and human history, where stories passed down for generations may have roots in reality. And if the truth truly lies buried beneath these mountains, what long-forgotten chapters of our past are still waiting to be revealed? The mysterious boat-shaped formation, nestled beneath the peak of Mount Ararat in the Turkish mountains and among snow-capped peaks. A secluded valley houses a mystery that has lingered in the minds of dreamers, scientists, and believers for centuries. In the remote regions of eastern Turkey, you will find the Durupinar Formation, a 538-foot-long boat-shaped mound which has intensified one of humanity's most poignant mysteries. Could this be the final resting spot of the famous Noah's Ark? The story dates back to the 1950s, when a Turkish army captain, flying overhead, spotted the unusual outline etched into the earth. From above, the subtle contours of the formation were blatantly obvious. A large ship that appeared to be aground and frozen in time. Reports quickly spread through the local villages, and thousands of curious observers began arriving. Local television correspondents covered the news, and images spread worldwide. The BBC dispatched a film crew in the 1960s, and National Geographic's photographers trekked up the mountain slopes, their cameras capturing the enigmatic shape that so closely matched the biblical ark's proportions. The Durupinar Formation proved to be more than just a curiosity for the camera lens. Over the years, the site gained international interest amongst teams of scientists and archaeologists who were interested in investigating the puzzle. One of them was Professor Faruk Kaya, a soft-spoken but passionate researcher from Agri Ibrahim Sechin University. Kaya recalled his first experience of the mound to a reporter with the Jerusalem Post, stating, "It was as if I was walking on the spine of a huge creature buried below mud and time. The air was thick with history." The researchers started where all researchers start, with basic work, charting, measuring, and sampling. The size took the skeptics among them by surprise. 538 feet long, the formation's length almost exactly matched the 300 cubits of the biblical record. Its width and height also resonated with the ancient narrative. "The match is incredible," Kaya said in an interview with Turkey's leading daily, the Hurriyet. "We're not declaring this the Ark, but the parallels defying explanation are too great to discount." The geological analysis, however, raised as many questions as it answered. The formation was primarily composed of limonite and iron ore, and appeared to have been shaped by powerful forces. But was it a quirk of nature or the fossilized skeleton of a vessel built thousands of years ago? To find out, the team conducted further exploration. In 2021, a coalition of researchers from Istanbul Technical University, Agri Ibrahim Sechin University, and Andrews University in the United States collaborated on a comprehensive study. Their mission was to probe the mound's interior using cutting-edge scientific tools. They drilled through ancient soil and uncovered samples that would greatly affect the site's history. Tests at the lab showed something incredible. The soil within the formation had almost 3 times the organic matter and potassium as the adjacent earth. These results indicate the deposition of decayed wood or some organic materials, consistent with the preservation of a large ancient structure within the mudflow. Lead scientist Andrew Jones told Fox News Digital.
Today we spoke with a man who took over his work and he led an expedition to produce what you're about to see.
So we're not going to find a sign that says, made by Noah and Sons, but what other ship would it be that, on the side of a hill at 6,500 foot elevation in the mountains of Ararat.
The ground-penetrating radar deployed by Jones's team uncovered a hidden world beneath the surface. The scans showed evidence of tunnel-like voids, deck-like layers, and angular features, all mirroring the Ark's biblical description. That's exactly what you'd expect to see if this was a man-made boat, Jones explained to the Christian Broadcasting Network with both caution and excitement. Evidence of ancient flooding was just as convincing. Soil samples contained clay-like substances, marine deposits, and even remnants of seafood. Clear signs that the area had once been submerged. These findings suggest the region was alive at the time as well as submerged at some point, supporting the scenario of an extreme catastrophe, said Kaya in an interview with the Jerusalem Post. The coincidence was especially intriguing. The radiocarbon dating showed the range between 3,500 and 5,000 years ago, exactly as specified in the biblical catastrophe of the Great Deluge. Media coverage accelerated as these results surfaced. The New York Post had the headline, "New Evidence at Durupinar Formation Supports Myth of Noah's Ark." And NDTV and Fox News ran extensive reports on the new findings. The world held its breath as the scientists debated the meaning behind it all, both believers and non-believers offering opinions. The evidence suggests the narrative potentially had some basis in fact, the researchers informed reporters, going out of their way not to make too much of it, but obviously energized by the potential. Despite growing interest, doubts remained. Most geologists insisted the formation was the product of natural processes, created by thousands of years of mud flows and erosion. Human behavior, however, doesn't validate a biblical narrative, explained journalist Tim Newcomb for Popular Mechanics.
You finished 120 scans?
Yes, millions
Wow.
of data.
And those points basically creates a 3D model of the object you're shooting.
Exactly.
Summarizing the consensus in the scientific community. Even Kaya, in his enthusiasm, was willing to concede the restrictions on the evidence. With the dating, it is impossible to claim the ship is here. We have to work for a long time to reveal this. But the mystery of the Durupinar Formation persists. To the people who inhabit its shadow, the mound is an object of pride and amazement. To researchers, it is an enigma calling for patience and meticulous exploration. To millions around the globe, it stands as an icon, an indicator that certain mysteries, however well buried, continue to echo across the centuries, challenging us to investigate, to discover, and to think. But when science itself begins to peel back the layers of stone, could the Earth be hiding Noah's Ark? Advanced technology unveils hidden structures. At Durupinar, the archaeological site, researchers gathered before a strange boat-shaped hill, poised to excavate secrets beneath its ancient surface. Scholars for decades had argued over whether the geologic formation was nature's fancy or the fossilized form of Noah's Ark. Now, with technology able to penetrate stone and time, scientists were going to unlock the Earth's secrets. The excavation started with the insistent whine of generators and precise tuning of ground-penetrating radar devices. Standing near the vibrating machines, Andrew Jones, a scientist who had spent 10 years studying the site, breathed foggy air in the cold morning. Interviewing with a team from Science Channel's television series, Forbidden History, he responded, "We're not here chasing legends, but giving the data a chance to speak for itself." The team was similarly impartial. Few operators even realized the biblical significance of the region. As initial scans flickered onto their screens, skepticism quickly gave way to amazement. Radar waves penetrated deeply into the Earth's crust, charting ghostly underground patterns. Instead of the chaotic mess of rock and soil that natural geological forces would normally create, the scans showed clean parallel lines and well-defined structures. One of the operators told Fox News Digital,
"This kind of leads you to believe that there may be something man-made under there. I think it definitely gives enough. Investigate further. Let's start digging up. Let's see what this is."
that structures such as these looked nothing like what you'd expect from a natural formation. The scans identified a central corridor extending approximately 234 feet, flanked by apparent side rooms or compartments, all having right angles rare in nature. The excitement in the research tent arose when William Crabtree, the lead soil scientist of the project, examined the data with both awe and incredulity. Speaking to the Daily Mail, he said, "The ground material inside is very different. We're noticing increased organic material and potassium, which indicates rotting wood. Exactly what you would expect if this used to be a giant wooden structure." His observation struck the press corps assembled outside, who wrote notes for the headlines that would soon be dispatched across the globe. The resistivity scans were very revealing for the team. These more sophisticated tests employed electric currents to map areas of different resistance. The findings were stunning. The hull of the formation stretched more than 40 feet beneath the surface, with massive ribs arching underground, just like those used in modern ships. 3 separate decks were noted, divided by what seemed to be a central stairway and landings, consistent with the Ark's biblical design. New Zealand engineer John Larson, the leader of the resistivity team, flatly stated, "This is not a random pile of rock. It's a structure that was built, not one that was formed randomly." Media reports broke out at once. NDTV ran a report with the title, "Noah's Ark Discovered, Radar Scans Reveal Boat-Shaped Structure in Turkey." And the New York Post reported that the site's fully preserved secrets had finally been revealed. The Christian Broadcasting Network spoke with Jones, who explained finding tunnel-shaped cavities, deck-like formations, and corridors in the structure. "It's just what you'd want to find if you were looking for a man-made boat," he said firmly but with an undertone of amazement. With more data, the team found more anomalies. The grass atop the formation was a different color than the surrounding areas, providing a subtle yet telling indication that some underlying factor was affecting soil chemistry. "It's a living fingerprint," Crabtree said to Newsbomb, a warning that the structure below is altering the very ground above it. Soil samples from within had twice the organic matter content of those outside, and 40% higher levels of potassium, unmistakable signs of rotting wood and organic debris. The scans further revealed evidence of burst hull sections that appeared cracked and displaced, showing that the vessel had slid down the slope of the mountains before colliding with a massive rock outcropping. Scientists employed advanced software to filter out mud and focus on denser materials, and in doing so revealed a ship-like hull that remained symmetrical and streamlined, with its ribs still intact after millennia underground. Most compelling of all, however, was the similarity of the internal layout to the biblical account of the Ark. 3 levels, a middle aisle, side sections, and even a potential staircase were all described in graphic detail by radar and resistivity surveys. "If you were designing a boat to survive a flood, this is how you would design it," Jones said to the Jerusalem Post, which was later quoted by media sources as diverse as CBN News and the Daily Mail.
On a remote hillside near Mount Ararat in Turkey lies a huge and mysterious boat shape. Many scientists believe it's just an unusual rock formation. Investigators claim that, amazingly, it's the physical remains of Noah's Ark.
As with any new discovery, the line between reality and myth grew thin. Scientists did not want to draw any premature conclusions. Do we really have a man-made phenomenon before us, or an uncommon natural phenomenon? Jones said in a phone interview with Yeni Shafak. While increasingly more evidence continued, to spark global interest, the Noah's Ark Scans team made promises of future drilling and non-destructive surveys, eager to safeguard the site from devastating winters and active mud flows endangering its preservation. "We're only just starting," Crabtree asserted, his eyes both marked with the solemnity of history and afire with excitement. "Whatever this is, it's incredible, and we owe it to the world to know the truth." As sunset crept up behind Mount Ararat, researchers folded up their gear, their minds spinning with possibilities. Underneath their feet, the ground still held its secrets, but for the first time in over 3 centuries, humanity had the technology to listen. Might the Earth itself remember what once was there? Not written in stone, but in the Earth's chemistry? But what if those whispers in the soil aren't just natural echoes of time? What if they're evidence of something extraordinary? Chemical imprints and soil mysteries. Deep beneath Turkey's Durupinar archaeological site, among rolling hills, scientists have unearthed compelling evidence of a past discovery. The terrain has harbored secrets of the past that new technology has only just begun to reveal. It was at dawn that a team of scientists approached a strange boat-shaped structure Their efforts focused on collecting minute soil samples rather than traditional artifacts. Their meticulous excavation was for microscopic traces of life from ages past, trapped in the earth. These tiny traces, deep within the matrix of the soil, held the promise of piecing together history from the time of antiquity even after the material remnants had dissipated. The initial soil extraction yielded dark, close to ebony-colored samples that emitted a strong, earthy smell. The samples were placed in individual containers, tagged, and transferred to a makeshift laboratory arrangement consisting of glass vials and analytical testing devices. The scientists labored in fierce quietness, punctuated by whispers of euphoria occasionally. Their investigation was aimed particularly at organic content, potassium content, and acidity measures that would distinguish this formation from the surroundings. The results were staggering.
However, Andrew hopes that his new scientific investigations at the Durupinar site will prove that the creationists' belief in the reality of the Great Flood and Noah's Ark is accurate.
Soil samples within the structure contained almost 3 times the amount of organic material that samples taken mere meters from the structure contained. Lead researcher Andrew Jones presented his findings to Fox News Digital in measured terms. Our soil samples showed around 3 times the density of organic material compared to the surrounding areas, indicating quite strongly the presence of rotting wood or other organic material. Further study yielded more surprises. Soils contained potassium levels many times higher than normal measurements, significantly higher than those of the surrounding landscape. As a major substance released by wood and plant decomposition, elevated potassium is nature's subtle marker for the passage of time and the incremental buildup of life on Earth. Veteran geologist Professor Farouk Kaya offered professional analysis to the Jerusalem Post. The elevated potassium and lowered pH values of our samples indicate prolonged organic decomposition over the course of time, as would be anticipated with the presence of a large wooden structure beneath the surface. The pH content was just as revealing. While soil in the area outside had neutral test results, the inside of the formation exhibited distinctly acidic properties, a telltale sign of organic decomposition. Scientists describe this acidity as evidence of centuries-long processes of decomposition, where wood and organic substances gradually rot and leave their essence in the soil. National Geographic reported that chemical analysis of Durupinar site soil revealed a unique chemical signature rarely encountered in natural geological formations, indicating the presence of ancient organic materials. More evidence was flowing in, and the research team was increasingly excited. The Forbidden History team of the Science Channel captured the moment when scientists first understood the enormity of their discovery. The team were stunned by the chemical traces in the soil, providing further evidence for the theory that the structure once held a giant wooden boat. Statistics, data, chemistry signatures, and Earth's own chemistry all came together to drive them toward an unavoidable conclusion.
The book of Genesis says Noah landed here in the mountains of Ararat. So, could this really be Noah's Ark?
Something grand once existed here, constructed from wood and life, but now reduced to dust, leaving behind an indelible mark. William Crabtree, a soil scientist with the team, approached his analysis with awe. In comments to Hurriyet, he said, "The chemical composition of the soil is unlike anything we have ever seen in natural formations, and the levels of organic matter and potassium all point very strongly to remnants of rotted wood." His report was typical of the mounting feeling of wonder pervading the research camp. To Crabtree and his crew, the data was not mere numbers. It was a story written in the vocabulary of elements and molecules, the tale of something special that once sat in this location. The implications rang outward, causing equal amounts of debate and intrigue. Journalists from all over the world flocked to the scene, photographing both the enthusiasm and doubt in the atmosphere. Some saw the discovery as the last piece of a 1,000-year-old puzzle, possible proof that stories of Noah's Ark could have historical foundations. Others called for restraint, recalling that extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. For those who had studied the Earth and unraveled its secrets, the chemical residue was imperceptible to the naked eye. They spoke of a bygone era, both mysterious and actual, an inheritance that did not reside in stone or bone, but in the earth itself. The Durupinar site evolved from an intriguing ridgeline configuration to a working laboratory, a place where science and legend meet, where every shovelful of soil brings us closer to understanding what or who lived here before. As scientists completed their harvest and the sun dipped below distant mountains, the mound remained in silence, its deepest mysteries still buried under layers of time. But for the silent witness of its earth, the world now understands that here, something remarkable occurred. Something that not only left a chemical memory strong enough to resound millennia later, ringing through labs and front pages today, but maybe indicating a much larger tale yet to be revealed. Clues buried in the soil might be only the beginning of such an epic tale. Scientific collaboration and international interest. The Durupinar Formation has become a focal point for international scientific collaboration, drawing experts from diverse fields to contribute their specialized knowledge. Teams from geology, archaeology, marine biology, and even climate science have converged on this remote Turkish hillside, each bringing unique perspectives to the investigation. The interdisciplinary approach has proven invaluable, as specialists in ancient woodworking techniques have examined the structural patterns revealed by scans, while paleoclimatologists have studied sediment layers to reconstruct the environmental conditions that existed thousands of years ago. Universities from around the world have established partnerships to fund ongoing research at the site. The Turkish government, recognizing the potential historical and cultural significance, has provided substantial support while implementing strict preservation protocols to protect the formation from damage. International conferences have been organized specifically to discuss the findings, with peer-reviewed papers being published in prestigious scientific journals. This collaborative effort has ensured that the investigation maintains rigorous academic standards while remaining open to various interpretations of the evidence. The site has also become an educational opportunity, with graduate students and researchers being trained in advanced archaeological techniques that may prove useful at other historical sites worldwide. The global debate and cultural impact. The discoveries at Durupinar have ignited passionate discussions across multiple platforms, from academic symposiums to social media forums. Religious scholars, atheist intellectuals, and everyone in between have weighed in on what the findings might mean for our understanding of ancient history and religious texts. Some theological institutions have sent their own researchers to examine the site, seeking to understand how archaeological evidence might align with scriptural accounts. Meanwhile, skeptical organizations have also deployed experts to provide alternative explanations, ensuring that all possibilities are thoroughly explored. The cultural impact extends beyond academic circles. Tourism in the region has increased significantly, with visitors from across the globe making pilgrimages to view the formation firsthand. Local communities have experienced economic benefits, though authorities remain careful to balance tourism with preservation needs. Documentary filmmakers have produced numerous features examining the site from various angles, and the story has inspired books, podcasts, and educational materials. Museums have created exhibitions featuring replicas of the findings and explanations of the scientific processes used in the investigation. This widespread interest demonstrates humanity's enduring fascination with ancient mysteries and our persistent desire to uncover the truth about our collective past, regardless of where that truth may lead us. What lies beneath? An ordinary survey beneath Turkey's hillside of ancient years revealed something extraordinary. Specialists gathered around screens in quiet anticipation as strange images started to emerge from the depths. Instead of the expected jumbled collection of rocks and mud, a stunning pattern took shape, built with intelligence and completely out of place. The team dug 30 feet below ground level, discovering a complex maze of geometric rooms and honeycomb shapes, with a central passage branching into others. The chief scientist, Dr. Andrew Jones, said, "It was like a skeleton of a ship, one of biblical proportions." Soil samples revealed marine sediment layers similar to those caused by catastrophic flooding, with carbon dating suggesting sometime around 4,800 years ago, ominously in parallel with Genesis's flood chronology. Dr. Sheila K. Hoffman described to BBC Future, "This is not coincidence. We're seeing evidence of a cataclysmic event." Creationist groups cried, "divine vindication," but writer and explorer Andrew Goff cautioned against assumptions. Turkish archaeologist Dr. İpek Yılmaz admitted, "The symmetry is disturbing. This is not a cave, it's built." A sealed chamber remained mysterious, with thermal scans showing empty rooms and sonar detecting metallic anomalies. As darkness falls on Durupinar, the question lingers. What if the Ark exists, not as a metaphor, but as a boat, a remnant of a world drowned, its past etched into every passing civilization? As the dust settles on Mount Ararat, one question remains. Did scientists uncover Noah's Ark or nature's masterpiece? The answer could forever reshape history. What do you believe lies beneath? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.